Commission work session meeting to order, please. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Dominic. Present. Johnson. Present. Pearson. Lynn. Present. Bowman.
Here.
Baker. Lynch. Escadade. Here. Thibodeau. Here. Fox. Smith. Epperson.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay. Ms. Bowman, would you lead us in the invocation? And Commissioner Smith, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come now thankful and grateful for another day. Thank you for all of your many, many blessings. I pray your blessings today upon each and every person assembled here. Bless this meeting and allow us to be about the business of the Parish of Caddo. I also take special effort to pray for our representatives in Washington, D.C. Help them to remember that they represent the people.
Amen.
Heavenly Father, I also pray for our troops here in this country and those on foreign soil. Watch, guide, rule, and protect them is my prayer. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Turn and face the flag and repeat after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. I know we had only one meeting in July, so it gave us a chance to get a little break, and we are now ready to put our backs into it and get back to work. Are there any agenda additions? No agenda additions. Okay. If there are any citizens in the audience that would like to address the commission on any item other than an item where may be on the agenda for public hearing, I'd like for you to fill out a card in the foyer and get it to myself or the commission clerk, and you'll be recognized. You have 3 minutes to state your concern. I'd like to welcome also, I think we have some residents from the Jolly Napier Road. They're down here today in support of Chief Mitchell relative to our fire service and EMS service up within that area. So we welcome you here. So if there's anyone here that would like to address us from those individuals, please fill out a card and you'll be allowed to do so. Okay, next order, Mr. Clerk, please.
Next one, we have visitors. We have the Caddo Parish Fire District Number 3 Fire Chief Ernest Mitchell.
Chief Mitchell, come forward, state your name and address for the record, and you may proceed, sir. Appreciate you coming down.
Ernest Mitchell, 9282 Locust Hill Road, Greenwood. Thank you for having me. On the last 5 minutes, things have changed in terms of my purpose for being here, but I had intended to seek the Commission's assistance in us reallocating $180-some thousand that was dedicated through a grant to build a fire station on General Motors property. That project didn't occur, but now apparently I found out just a few minutes ago that since that money was dedicated to a General Motors fire station, we can't use that money on a Jolly Napier South Lakeshore fire station. We need to build living quarters of that station and get it manned. There's some confusion about that station being open and now it's closed. It's never been closed. There's always been a fire truck there. There has never been 24-hour firefighter coverage there. There was and is currently a trailer house on the fire department property that belonged to one of our firefighters. It was his personal residence, and when he was there at night asleep in his house, he would respond to fires from that station. When he was on duty with the fire department, he wasn't on duty there. He was on duty at our central station in Greenwood. So the station has never been manned, so it's now closed. There's just, as there are in many fire stations in Caddo Parish, a fire truck only there. So I want to eliminate some of that confusion. That station is not closed. There's just no one there right now. As soon as that trailer leaves, our intention is by the end of the year to start building living quarters there and have at least a paid fireman there 24 hours a day. That was my purpose in coming, is to get the Commission's support in us reallocating that grant money to this project instead of the General Motors project. But now that that apparently can't happen, we will reapply for that grant. But nonetheless, we're going to go forward with using money we have in reserves. We're not broke, but the next problem is the average age of our fire trucks is 20 years old, and I have to start replacing those at $400,000 apiece. So I was hoping we could use some of that $189,000 to put living quarters of that station. But if it's a possibility to reapply for this grant, and I'm told it is, from Mr. Lucky, I may be asking the Commission's assistance in that grant process, if that's a possibility. Do you have any questions for me about this project? I won't waste any more of your time.
Yes, sir, we can reapply.
Yes, sir. You said we can reapply, Mr. Wilson?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay.
It's a capital project, House Bill 1.
Okay. And
Yeah,
we,
with us, we
how
submit-
soon can we get to work on that?
I think we submit sometime around November. There's another call for input, so we'll be putting it in November.
Okay. Anyone that would like to ask Chief a question? Okay. Seeing, Chief, your plans are to staff the Jolly Napier South Lake Shore facility by when? You say the end of the year?
I hope to be breaking ground by the end of the year, because that's the station that we are the farthest from road-wise, and Jefferson Page, if you've traveled near the road center, several 90-degree curves, we had 2 house fires one day apart in June, and it took us 13 minutes to get there. That's unacceptable.
Right.
If we had someone at that station, we could have had at least a fire truck and a firefighter to both of those structures within minutes, and something could have been going on while we're traveling from 9081 Highway 80 in Greenwood to that location. The next problem I have in that area is I have 0 employees or volunteers who live close to that station, so it's too far for us to get to and too slow of a response time, not for us to start manning that station. And to do that, we have to put a bed there somewhere.
Okay. So, is there anything that can expedite the end of the year staffing, or will you have to hire someone?
Now, as soon as we get living quarters built, then I will take one of my 5 firemen who are on duty 24 hours a day and put one there.
Now, okay, why, is there any reason that we can't start on this facility, say, next week? What's the holdup?
Well, now that we've determined the $189 is not on the table, we can start.
Okay. Well, will we please do that, see if we can expedite the staffing process, see if that'll...
At the next board meeting, we'll pursue that.
Okay, well, good. Well, I think that may be, I think the residents would also like to hear that, too. And, Chief, I'd just like, on a final note, to state that I, along with the residents in that area and the board, I'm in contact with them. I'd like to commend you on the job that you're doing. I think we're all aware of the situation as it was prior to you assuming command now. I appreciate the copy of the budget, and everything looks well, and your audited financial statement in the budget, and Cook and Moorheart, everything looks well. And I ask that you continue to operate in that vein, and please give me a holler and let me know when you're going to start that groundbreaking, because I think the residents would certainly applaud that effort, as soon as now instead of being at the end of the year. So, and anything that we can do, we try to do it to help, enhance that. Oh, one more thing. Some fire stations, okay, you have, I forget what fire station that is, located at the intersection of Pines Road and Jefferson Page, which is close to those areas, on that north side of the parish. Is there any cooperative endeavor or relationship with the City of Shreveport Fire Department and ours?
We have a mutual aid agreement with Shreveport, but it's not an automatic mutual aid agreement. I tried with the previous administration to do what they did with District 5 in South Shreveport, to automatically have them coming when we get a call for a reported structure fire.
Okay.
Now that there's a new administration, I'm re-pursuing those efforts that we could perhaps, because they responded, one of the fires we had on June the 9th.
They did?
Was on Parkwood at South Lake Shore, and that's on a boundary between our district and it's Shreveport. No, it's us. They responded immediately because there was confusion, but I'm still desperately want to pursue an automatic mutual aid agreement with some of our areas that are too far away for us to respond to in a reasonable amount of time.
Okay, what caused me to think about that is when we had I think the city implemented a ban or restriction on fireworks, and the parish did not. And I thought I heard someone from the city fire department mention that they would be taxed in the event that something happened in the parish. So I thought maybe it was just an automatic deal, so it isn't.
No.
Okay. Well, is there anything, Mr. Wilson, that we can do to enhance that particular negotiations and see if we can get that agreement until we can get that other station in place?
Particularly let us know when it's going to occur. We can perhaps participate in the process with you.
Okay, thank you.
See if we can use our influence to help there along.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Lynn, you have a question, Chief?
Yes, what is the policy or the procedure in recruiting volunteer firefighters for a station, since you said that there were no volunteers at that particular station?
Our requirements are you live in our district, obviously. You attend 50% of our training sessions, 50% of emergencies if you're available. I mean, we don't want volunteers who fill out an application and we never see them again just because they want to get a T-shirt.
With two fires so recently happening, I would think that there would be volunteers in that area. And so, do they have to approach you, or is that something that you try to recruit?
Well, we haven't tried to recruit as much as we should have. I won't speak ill of the previous administration any more than I already have, but volunteers were very, very few and far between 3 years ago. We've subsequently got them back, and because of that, our fire response, firemen to a fire, has gone from 6 average to 16 average, and that's simply because we've got more volunteers. So I haven't done as much recruiting as I have, but if you would like to be recruited and you live in my district,
I'm an inner city commissioner. Is there any way that the parish can assist you in recruiting volunteers?
If you could put a blog on the website, not just for my district, but for every fire district, I'm sure they would love to have on your website.
Mr. Wilson,
please call your fire department.
I think that's done. Is there anything else we can do to assist you?
Not that I'm aware of at this time.
Okay. If you can think of anything that we can do to assist you, I'm sure that we're going to be happy to oblige.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I'd just like to mention too, we had a meeting with a number of residents at the fire district about a month ago, and we placed emphasis on volunteering. We gave out brochures, so we're going to do all that we can in that area to enhance and get the word out in reference to volunteering. So, Chief, I think we'll probably send out notices to the churches within that area and places like that and see if we can get that up.
Thank you very much.
We thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate you.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Ms. Bowman?
yeah.
Come on back, Chief.
Just a question, quick question. Is there set criteria that you all have in place in reference to burn ban and in reference to fireworks? For instance, maybe just a street or whatever that intersects, and you have the city on one side and the parish on the other side. And believe me, I'm just curious about this, because I did have a concern about it when the city decided that they would ban fireworks within the city limits. However, you guys made the decision not to do it in the parish.
Right.
And, I mean, I understand economic reasons or whatever, but I'm looking more at safety. If it was a problem in the city of Shreveport, a problem maybe even in Bossier, but then if I drove down Jefferson Page and the parish and fireworks, whatever, you know, they were popping them off there, is there something, what determined that? That's what I want to know.
The only thing that determined that, there is no policy that I'm aware of or ordinance from the commission about fireworks. There is a burn ban ordinance from the commission that gives the fire chief the authority to issue or non-issue burn numbers or burn permits. The fireworks decision was simply the fire chiefs of Caddo Parish outside the city phone calling each other and saying, hey, what do you think? And we all decided that, yeah, we understood Chief Crawford's safety issue, but we didn't think, unfortunately, we didn't respond to but one incident. We didn't think the danger warranted us shutting down fireworks in the parish.
Is that the same way you all made the decision when initially the burn ban was put in place?
Right.
And, you know, Bossier Parish, Bossier City, everywhere surrounding Caddo Parish basically had a burn ban.
Right.
And then you guys chose not to do it.
Given the conditions at that time for us. Now, subsequently, the fire marshal has lifted his burn ban across the state.
Yeah, he had his in place for the state, but Caddo Parish chose not to do it. And I'm wondering if there's some criteria that you follow, you and the parish, in order to...
Our only criteria was, chiefs, are you making a great number of fire calls, grass fire calls, brush fire calls, yes or no? If no, we had rain at times that South Louisiana didn't and vice versa. So it's just what is our best feeling for what's going on currently.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And, Ms. Bowman, in the parish too, we can burn, like I live, I'm in the parish.
I got
About a
folks
block
burning over there, too.
Yeah, we had to call them, we want to burn trash. Yeah. So, yeah, we had to call them even when we want to burn trash.
Right.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Okay, next we have Mr. Charles Sotrano. Did I pronounce it right, sir? Okay. Would you come forward, state your name and address for the record, and you may proceed.
My name is Charles Sotrano, and I live at 7323 South Lakeshore Drive. And my subject matter is down there at Old Gardener's Landing. It's been a problem for years, and I can look at it, it's not within 150 yards of my house. I look out the windows, and I've seen so much as dead dogs, dead deer, so much as even one dead body thrown out there.
Get out.
Just like a piece of garbage. There's been rapes, there's been beatings. It looked like a three-ring circus down there about 2 o'clock in the morning after shots were fired. Policemen, there was about 10 or 11 policemen out there, sheriffs, lights everywhere, people with their hands up, and all the trash. That's a good concern right there, main concern there. People that come out there to fish, they don't live there. There's styrofoam buckets, minute buckets, 5-gallon buckets with excrement in it and such, and they leave it there. They don't live there. They don't have to look at that. We paid a pretty good bit for those homes, and I'm sure whether there was a lot or not, I don't want that in my front yard, and I don't think y'all would either. And I wish we could do something about it. Primarily, I've already went up to the mayor, and I've left a sizable thing with him to address that, because they're the ones could curtail a lot of this by giving the elderly people of this city a place to go fish out there at the Cross Lake Patrol. That pier is tore down, it's no longer in use, and the elderly people that cannot get a boat, they like to fish too, and I don't blame them. I'm an avid fisherman and hunter, but I can get out there and do that. A lot of people can't. Seems like the America, with all this shell money and such going around, taxes and such, boats, they could build a pier up with a shed over it to give these people of Shreveport a place to fish without trashing up the whole lake. This bass tournament's fixing to come here. Don't you think it would be an eyesore to see all the trash around the bank lines for all these people coming in around here? Myself, that's mainly what I wanted to say.
Okay. Mr. Trano, okay, you're saying that the people are coming in an area, and you live in the parish, right?
Yes, sir.
The area that you're talking about is parish.
Yes, sir.
Right, but it goes to the lake, which the lake is owned by by the city, right? I mean, okay. And Jimmy, are you familiar with that area?
Mr. Everson, I couldn't hear what, he referenced Old Landing, which one?
Old Gardener's Landing.
Speak in the mic, Mr. Trano. Come on, pull it down,
Old
please.
Gardener's Landing.
You can pull it to you. Go ahead.
It's Old Gardener's Landing, and that's where they've had dead bodies, dogs, deer, trash, rapes, beatings, and so forth.
I think, Commissioner Epperson, if you would like, I'll get with this gentleman afterwards. I think I know what Old Landing he's talking about. I just want to make sure.
Okay.
And we can delve into it and just get a little bit more information, see what can be done.
Okay. All right, Mr. Trano, I think, let's do that. What do you think about that, Mr. Williamson, to go out and physically tour the area, and we'll get more information, then we'll find out exactly who's responsible, what jurisdiction, and what we could do to remedy it.
Well,
Is that okay?
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Any other questions of Mr. Sotrano?
That's today.
I've contacted the landowner himself. He is also supposed to give me a letter, and so I can give it to the sheriff's department so they can keep people off their property, off of his property, 224 acres. And I'm sitting there looking right at it.
Okay.
Because it's private property, it's not public property that they're on.
It's not public property. It's got postage signs on it. But anytime they write up a ticket, it gets up to the DA and it's thrown out.
Write them a ticket for what?
Who's writing the tickets, the sheriff's department?
Sheriff's Department, yes, sir. So they told me personally that they came to my home, had 2 of them, and I had to call Mr. Jim Steele over in Monroe, and he told them personally, I don't want no one on my property, but he's going to have to drive from there to here, but we got to have this in written paper form, and I'm to give it to the Sheriff's Department. Then they'll have enough teeth where they can't arrest them for trespassing.
Jimmy, do one thing for me. As soon as you get the information and get all the details and all specifically as far as jurisdiction and all, and with some ideas about what we can do, part of what we can do, I'm sure, is help get the sheriff's cooperation, which I'm sure he'll do. But get us an email to that effect. Don't wait for 2 weeks for another meeting or something like that.
No,
as soon as you know something, let us know.
It'll be by Thursday.
Thank you. Do some digital photos too, please.
Yes, sir.
With it as it is.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have Mr. Dominique. Come on back, sir. We haven't finished yet.
I think a lot of this was answered, but apparently where the dumping is going is in the parish, is not in the city of Shreveport, or it is in the city of Shreveport?
It's in the parish.
Okay. Well, and I've had to, on West Lake Shore, we had kind of the same problem. There was a dead end on, there's a drive by West Lake Shore, a lot of dumping deer carcasses and stuff. And I don't know if it's still going on, but, you know, we made a couple calls to the sheriff, and I think they cracked down on that part. I haven't heard anything else in that area. I mean, he's always been willing to, especially when he knows about it, you know, to jump on the ball. So I think it's something that we could probably work with the sheriff to get him to look at it closer.
Actually, Commissioner Dominic, I'm familiar with that West Lake Shore situation. And what has helped out there more than anything is we've actually had someone move in at the very end of that road, which was a dump site. And this individual cleaned up all that mess. You wouldn't believe it. I don't know how many truckloads of trash and mattresses and what all. But he hauled all that off. And since he's actually moved in there, there's been no more complaints.
Well, a lot of times what they'll do is when they're writing the reports, you know, and have to be in a stationary, that they'll go there and write the reports, and that officer is sitting there for 30 minutes writing the report. When they're sitting there constantly, you know, once a day, someone's there, you know, the visibility really helps out a lot. So there's probably something that the sheriff's office would do.
Locally on the north side of the lake, one day, lady was fishing, minding her own business, having a great day. Someone come around the corner, ran off the road, hit and killed the lady. Just fishing off the road. And she had a place to go fish, like that pier I'm speaking of. That probably wouldn't have happened.
That's it, Ms. Dominique?
That's all.
Okay, anyone else? Thank you for coming, Mr. Soprano, and hopefully we'll have this situation resolved. And as I told you, you got to go out of town, so you call me when you get back, and we'll see where we are.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Ms. Simone Hennessy. Come forward, state your name and address for the record, and you may proceed.
Simone Hennessy. I'm with Providence House, 814 Cotton Street, Shreveport, 71101. I believe Commissioner Matthew Lynn is our councilman. And I'm here to speak today on domestic violence in particular, to kind of bring everybody up to date on what's going on and the kind of work that we're doing and the kind of help that you might be able to lend towards us. And so we're doing a combination of kind of a little bit of a PowerPoint, but so I want to kind of walk you through what we're doing. As most of you know, domestic violence is an epidemic in our community. It happens every day and can happen to anyone, regardless of race, financial status, or religion. And in fact, 1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. In 2010, Shreveport and Bossier Police Departments had received 4,373 domestic violence-related calls. Caddo Parish in Shreveport ranked the highest in the state for the number of domestic violence-related homicides last year and so far this year. And so what is domestic violence? Well, domestic violence is emotional abuse that are behaviors used by one person in a relationship to control the other person. Partners may be married or not, heterosexual, gay, lesbian, living together, or separated or dating. And that is your basic description of what domestic violence is. I want to give you a little quick history lesson on how we got into the domestic violence arena here. As many of you know, that the YWCA began having some financial difficulties back in 2008 and continued to have those. And we tried to stay out of the domestic violence arena for as long as we could until we found that we were serving, during that crisis that they were having, more people than they were serving. And so it became apparent to us that regardless of whether they could remain viable or not, the need was clearly there. And at the encouragement of the United Way and the Community Foundation, we stepped up to the plate and opened in February of 2009. We have the largest safe house for domestic violence in the state. We can serve about 20 families and about 15 single women any day. That's 115 beds. The average safe house in the state is 30 beds. It is in a confidential location so that we can be sure to provide the safety that is necessary for our families. And let me tell you a little bit about what we provide. As you know, it's certainly the crisis hotline, the safe house, and housing through Providence House for up to 2 years. Safety planning, which is absolutely critical, and as most of you know, in the last week we've had 2 murder-suicides around domestic violence, one in Caddo and one in Bossier most recently. We do the protective orders, and I have to say, if a protective order had been done by us, by the incident in Bossier City, that person would still be alive today. We do referrals for benefits to other people in the community. We provide all the counseling that's necessary, classes and job training, and all of those things. But the fact still remains, 1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. Boys who witness domestic violence are twice as likely to abuse their own partners or children when they become adults. Louisiana is ranked first in the nation in the number of murders of female victims by male perpetrators. Domestic violence affects all our demographic groups. It is the #1 reason that women end up in the emergency room. An estimated 1.3 million are victims of physical assault during any given year by a partner. It takes, on the average, of 7 times for a woman to leave that situation before she leaves for good. And I know that's probably shocking to most of us. But so why the domestic violence and why the issues? Domestic violence is all about power and control. And one of the things that we always say is that people can only be what they know. And typically the people that are abusing had that same experience growing up, and they are simply repeating it, as are many women that also play a part in that. But there are other critical issues that impede or continue this, and that's poverty, certainly heat. It's 107 degrees outside today, by the way. When we came in, 107. Financial issues are certainly a stressor for this, but it can also be a combination of a number of stressors. It can be drugs and alcohol. It can be family issues, issues with small children. There are certain times of the year when domestic violence happens more often than not. We are in that time right now. Certainly holidays are high stressors, as well as the worst time for domestic violence in a given year, as reported in the United States, is during the Super Bowl. Other critical issues, to address or to be considered and concerned about is the impact on children. We worked in many cases to change identities of people that come in. We also move them to other states and other cities when we do not feel safety is going to be there. And then another thing that I think most of you are aware of is the workplace violence that comes as a part of domestic violence. And I have to say, from a personal standpoint, chances are you know someone who is currently experiencing or has experienced domestic violence. And so what can you do to help in those particular kinds of situations? Well, we can tell you as a neighbor or as a friend or a family member, the best thing that you can do if you suspect domestic violence is call our confidential and anonymous hotline at Providence House and report what you've seen, heard, or suspect. We simply report that information to the police, who will go and follow up on that situation. So today, to give you some sense of what's going on in the domestic violence arena, in 2010, we served 414 people for the whole year, and the majority of those were children. 206 were children. So far this year and through our year, and we're on the October through September year for us, we've already served 412 people, and we have 3 months left. So we've already equaled the number of folks that we've had. We've had equally the same number of domestic violence calls, hotline calls, 485. Last year, 480, with 3 months left this year. Temporary restraining orders. We go out on every restraining order, whether they come into our safe house or not. We are in the district courts and in the communities, and all we are is called upon by the clerk of the court, and we actually come in and provide help in filling out restraining orders, and we also go to court with the victims. Last year there were 8 homicides, and we were #1 parish in the state. And so far this year in Caddo, there's been 6 homicides in Caddo and 2 in Bossier. And we are currently running the #1 area, unfortunately, for the state. So there are some things that you certainly can do to help. Certainly increase our funding at a significant level, and we have been grateful to have received over the last number of years support for this. But as numbers grow, so do the challenges for support, as all of you know. And so we'd like you, as that time rolls around, to remember us. We'd like you also to help us with awareness. We think that is a critical issue in just getting the information out. One of the things that I would suggest to you, y'all employ a large number of people for Caddo Parish. We would be glad to provide inserts in paychecks, again, as a part of awareness. And any flyers, we'd be glad to come and talk, because it can happen to anybody at any time and affect everyone that's close by. We'd like to ask each of you to join us on a tour of our safe house, because it'll give you some sense of exactly the work we do and the challenges that we face at the safe house. The other thing that you can do certainly is to provide in-kind donations for us to continue to help these women and children get back on their feet and hopefully move into being productive members of our community. And so I would entertain, at least at this point, any questions that you might have.
Let's see. Could you clear the board, please? Whoever has the projection up, so I can see the screen.
Sure.
Okay, now let's see. Okay, we have Ms. Lynch, Ms. Bowman, anyone else? Mr. Escaday? Okay, Ms. Lynch?
Thank you, Ms. Hennessy. Certainly the work that you all are doing is definitely needed and commendable. I had 2 questions. One, I've noticed quite a bit of ads in the forum magazine, but I was not sure if you all were also advertising in our official journal, the Shreveport Sun and the Caddo Citizen. Do you know?
Not at this time, but it is something that, especially with the occurrence of two incidences within a short period of time, we have changed every one of our electronic billboards, and we are actively going after and trying to get the Times and the Bossier paper and the Sun to get some what we call public service information. So again, that people know that they can call us. Had that woman called us, she would never have gone back to that house, and the restraining order would have happened. Unfortunately, what happened with the woman is when she went to the clerk of the court, they just filled out the paperwork for her. They didn't talk to her about the safety planning that is critical. Once you file a temporary restraining order, it gets very dangerous in many, many cases. And so that is exactly what happened. And so getting the information out, and we certainly would certainly take down the other areas that you suggest that we might catch up with.
That, for me, that would be the Shreveport Sun and the Caddo Citizen.
Okay.
The other question I had was about, in the case of guys, I'll say, are you all able to track whether those men have a history with the criminal justice system? I mean, are you finding that that those people have, I guess, other histories?
Yes,
you know,
I mean, the cases that we are exposed to, most of when we see a woman, typically, I mean, she's been exposed to it maybe 20 times. I think part of the challenge with domestic violence is certainly a legal challenge in what we're doing when we go out to that kind of incident, who we're taking, who is being arrested, whether they're able to plead out and not even go into the court system, and that is a huge challenge.
And what about other crimes? I mean, do you all keep any records, or is it just the domestic violence incidents?
That and sexual assault, we have been designated as by the coroner's office as the only organization that does all the sexual assault advocacy calls. So, and we did about 300 last year. 171 of those sexual assaults were children. And so we show up at the hospital.
Are there any provisions for restitution in this whole process to the victim?
To the victims, I'd have to defer to any restitution to Norma Belton, who's director of our program. None that we're aware of yet.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Bowman?
Yeah, of course, Simone, you know, I've supported you over the years. I
Have
will,
indeed.
certainly continue to do that. And I really think that when you all took the domestic violence program over, you took it to an entirely different level, and that's commendable. But I'm going to kind of get out of the box just a minute. What about men? What are there stats on men being abused? Because I know a few, and I'm not the but seriously, do they have a place to go, or I mean, I know that they're probably, you know.
I think it's a great question, and it's one that comes to us from time to time. Part of our domestic violence program, we also have a voucher program, a hotel voucher program. So if we have any men that call in, we definitely get them into that program. We also take them sometimes into our main facility, Providence House facility, on our first floor, where we can serve men and children, and we begin to work with them at that point. But it is, I mean, yes.
You know, just knowing that the program is basically geared toward women and children having a safe place to go, but they are quite a few of them.
Well, recently we've had a couple of gentlemen in, so yes, we are on top of that.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad to know that.
Good
Thank
question.
you.
Good question.
That's it. We'll not be messing with Jerry. Mr. Escobar?
You always go that way.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bowman, thank you. I mean, I'm sitting here watching this presentation feeling like a dog because I was a man, you know, because all the stats
But you're a good dog.
skewed against it. You know what that means, Miss Hennessy? I will leave my yard if the gate's open, but I'll come back. I just go around the block. But I'm starting to feel guilty, and then I thought, well, okay, God's responsible for gender assignment, so I got over it. But I just want to commend you on the work that you do. I have one question. You said Caddo has the highest instance of domestic abuse.
Of homicides.
Oh, homicide related.
Homicide
Okay, because we've had
alone.
2 in the past couple of weeks and had one last month, I think.
Right.
You know, okay. That's probably out of the ordinary, wouldn't you say?
No, it is not. Unfortunately, it's not out of the ordinary.
I'm talking about for double, the suicide murder thing.
That quickly?
Yeah, the suicide murder thing, in that short a period of time.
You know,
Could be the heat.
yes, there is no there's no doubt the heat plays a significant role in that. And you know, I know that there are many men in this room, but there are things that you can do if you suspect that. Standing up and against the abuse of other men, treating women or hitting women or any of those things. You certainly have a say in that, and I know it's not always easy to step up to something like that, but that is a critical role. I mean, I think men, you have the power to change the circumstance in many, many ways.
Well, I have found out, you know, I can't speak for Commissioner Lynn or Johnson because they're a little younger, or even Dominic, but us older guys, the older we get, the more willingly we'll jump into other people's business if we see it, because we don't have as much to lose.
Well, thank you.
But as most of us, as having a daughter, you know, you're aware of that in the surroundings. I might offer you one suggestion, too, as far as outreach and community awareness. You probably have already done this, maybe you have, but make the rounds and talk to every preacher, rabbi, priest around here and have them make sure they bring it to the pulpits on Sunday occasionally, because they, you know, you've got a massive audience right there.
Right.
And sell them on the idea. But the work you've done over the years has paid. You're a prime example of something that like this that works. And you're just a victim of your own success if you're having any kind of growing pains right now. So I guess it's something that's a good thing, but it's a bad thing as to the reason you're here. But, you know, the good thing is that you do well, you do your job, your staff does your job, and you have a fine reputation. So we're proud, I think I can speak for all of us, to support you in your ongoing efforts and hope we can continue to.
Well, thank you. Folks like you make it possible for us to do the work that we do on the front lines, and so we certainly could not continue our work without your support, certainly financially and the many other ways that you support us. So we are very grateful.
Yeah, thank you.
Dominique?
Ms. Hennessy, I'd like to thank you for being here today. I've enjoyed your presentation. The main question I have is how many people use your services outside the city of Shreveport, rural areas?
We serve I think 3 other parishes. Is that correct, Norma? 4 other parishes. What are the parishes? Webster and Red River beside the other.
What about, I'm just saying outside Shreveport in like
Right.
North Caddo Parish, South Caddo Parish? Do y'all have, I mean, I know the large majority of your population is in the city of Shreveport. Do you ever get calls or stuff?
Oh, yes. And in fact, one of the challenges that we are looking at as we expand our reach is a way that we can better serve people, and it may be in setting up offices out in small communities where we can do some electronic back and forth. And we have been known to get in the car and go get people that need help.
Well,
so,
you know, just to tailor on what I guess Commissioner Escudé said, another thing that we may be able to do, and Commissioner Lynch would, you know, the Caddo Citizen may do some public service announcement, but going to our local towns, especially our police departments, Vivian, Oil City, notify them of those services, because I guess I'm the city attorney of those towns. You see some of the stuff that comes through there.
Sure.
Maybe not near as bad, but it's still domestic abuse, and they should be able to tell, you know, these individuals that this is available. You know, you have the Oil City mayor, town, and Vivian would be a good place to.
We'll take it.
Both of those have 2 fairly decent police departments and do have issues that come up. Blanchard also would. But the other towns too. I mean, you're talking about Gillum, Halston, Greenwood, just communicating with those towns, those mayors, those chief of police, you know, that we do have, or y'all do have that facility needed, because a lot of times they're going to the police department and relying on them. If you have a brand new guy that's just got out of the police academy and just has not thought about that, but you recently notified them that he may say, well, look, we can get you into the safe house or the Providence house and those issues that, because y'all are doing a good job, but we just want to make sure that the people out in the rural area know about it too.
Absolutely, and we appreciate those comments, and we will.
And I'll do whatever I can do too. You know, just let me know. KNCB Radio is a radio station up there. They probably love for you to come up there one day and talk.
Oh, good. Well, I can talk. Thank you so much, and we certainly have made note of that, and we will get with the program in those areas.
That's it, Mr. Bell. That's it. Mr. Lynn?
I wanted to thank Simone Hennessy, Sarah, and of course Mr. Harper, Jerry Harper, your board president, for all of y'all for everything that you do. And then I want to speak on behalf of the younger, new generation of gentlemen, Mr. Johnson and myself included, to know that equal rights and human rights are definitely recognized in the next generation, and so we're not afraid to step forward as well.
Thank you,
Commissioner.
That's it?
Thank you.
All righty. Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. But I also wanted to add, too, that inside the city limits, the fire stations are safe havens.
Absolutely.
And we'll ask the question, do you utilize the fire district stations as well?
Absolutely. That is one of the things when people call in and are running from the situation, and certainly the police department and all of the fire stations are safe havens for them to run to and then to call us. Absolutely. Well taken.
That's it? Okay. All right, I don't see any further requests for comments. Simone, we thank you very much for coming here. You all do an admirable job. And my little church, as small as it is, you all are the person that we always do our charitable contributions to, along with the Northwest Louisiana Food Bank. And we appreciate you for coming today.
Thank you each again. And I invite you to come by and let us take you on a tour. Whether it's a group or individuals, we are more than happy and available. Thank you again for your support.
All right, we thank you. No more request cards. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next we move to reports. We have the administration report.
Yes, Commissioners, good afternoon. Just for the benefit of those commissioners that were not at the Economic Development Committee today, just want to give you an update concerning the Joint Economic Development Venture with the City of Shreveport. It come to my attention that Mayor Glover did receive the Mr. Dodd report that he talked about a month and a half ago. He received it on the 18th of July, and we have yet to receive a copy of that. And I did talk to Mr. Dodd about getting a copy, and he referred me to the mayor's office and said he'd prefer I get it from him. So I'm going to make a request today for that report, and I will pass it on to you all as soon as I get it. The next item that we talked about at the Economic Development Committee meeting today was the fact that Ron Pact, the recent company, just made an announcement last Friday. They're a paper product company. They're coming to the port, and they asked for us to abate the construction, the tax on the sales and use tax on the construction material and equipment. And it's been your policy to give one or the other. And I drafted a letter to Mr. Tim Miles from the Northwest Partnership to let him know that we will not be given any additional abatements other than the ad valorem tax on the property that they'll be getting, because the port will own the facility, so they won't be paying property tax. Okay. The other item I have for you, Commissioners, I did place at your station a copy of the travel expense report for the second quarter, along with the your audit detail report from the external audit. If you have any questions relative to any of these documents, Eric and I will be glad to answer the questions you may have for us. And that's all I have at this time. If you have something for me.
Any questions of the administration? Okay, at this time, I'd like to acknowledge Judge Matlock. Welcome. Anything in particular? Would you like to have a word with us, or you just visiting today? All right, well, we appreciate it. Come anytime. Okay. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to Communication Committee reports. I'd like to also point out the term expiring of Mr. J. Walker, Sewage District Number 2.
Okay. On the communiques and reports, we have Ms. Lynch, Ms. Baker, anyone else? Okay, Ms. Lynch.
Things, you know, we just returned from the annual conference of NACO, and I'll have some additional information on Thursday because they're still downloading some of the information, and I'll provide an update on that. This morning there was an article in the paper declaring, I guess there are quite a few stakeholders that are supporting this initiative Year of the Healthy Child, and I spoke with Beth Elder, who is the wife of General Elder, and she's kind of spearheading that, helping to coordinate it, but the parish was not included as one of the supporters. So I volunteered us today to participate in that effort. Lenny Eliason, who is the new president of NACO, initiative for this year is Healthy Counties, and so it kind of fit into our national organization's focus for the next year, and so we'll be talking with Mr. Wilson this morning, and so we'll be participating in that initiative. And Matthew, she also mentioned about this mapping, and that you had been working with them in some kind of way that worked into this. But certainly we're going to be a part of it and do our part to support the initiative. Thank you.
Ms. Baker?
I just wanted to kind of piggyback on our Administrator Wilson on the report from the Economic Development Committee meeting today. You did give out 3 main things that we did talk about. We also had a couple of presentations on a couple of projects that's wanting to be done here in the city of Shreveport, Parish of Caddo, and they wanted some joint efforts from us. So what we're doing is we're actually a motion was mentioned for us to pass those on to our administrator to kind of get a little bit more information on them so they can give us some more feedback. But one of the things that I was really pleased with is the fact of the matter that the committee has made a decision today for us to go ahead and move forward and looking at getting ourselves defined and who we're going to be and what the things that we're going to do as far as economic development projects. So we're looking to have another possibly economic development committee meeting this month so we can go ahead and get that done, and so we can go ahead and move forward on our economic development projects and even what we're actually wanting to do, what we had planned to, what we formed to plan to do, and that is to look for economic development opportunities to bring here to the parish of Caddo. So I was very pleased with the fact that the committee is ready to move forward and getting that defined in that area. And also, I wanted to talk about this. I attended a workshop at NACO, and it talked about educating our students on the 3 forms of government, and it's on a website called iCivics.org, and it's a game that our past president, President Whitley, he's the one that created this game, I think, and it's a fun game, and I would recommend that all of you would go to that website, iCivics.org, and it's a fun game, and you'll enjoy playing it, but it's a good little game for one of the things that they were focusing on is for our youth to learn more about our 3 forms of government. It's a real fun game, so I suggest you go to that website and play that game and tell as many youth as you can about it, because it'll help them to learn more about the 3 forms of government. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mr. Johnson, last week, a resolution from Tangipahoa Parish was submitted to us relative to the option of purchasing non-ethanol gasoline. Right. We did not put it on the agenda. However, with your expertise in working at the refinery, and you had some concerns about it, I was wondering if you might give us a little brief knowledge to ethanol and non-ethanol gasoline that you referred to me on.
Basically, on the ethanol and non-ethanol, the EPA mandated that refineries utilize ethanol in the gasoline as part of the Green Gas Emission Act and the reduced emissions. To put the non-ethanol gas back into the circulation, it will cost the end user more money because the refineries have to have a tax credit issued, and they have to pay for that tax credit to put that non-ethanol gasoline back into the circulation. So in order to do that, the end user would end up paying more money for the non-ethanol gasoline. So it kind of goes back to, and it's when I was a little taller at this particular time, when you had lead and non-leaded gasoline, when you switched over to the non-leaded, it sort of was doing the same thing again. It's just been mandated and it's moving forward because in a couple more years, that percentage of maximum of 10% is going to go up to another percentage, and then you'll end up having the E85, which is 85% ethanol, also going to be in circulation at pumps here shortly. So it's not moving backwards, it's moving forwards. And also with diesel, you got the biodiesel, there's plants that are popping up left and right as well. So I think it just be a waste of time, and the end user, the consumer, will be getting more money taxed on them to get that non-ethanol gasoline.
Okay. So in other words, I guess they were concerned with the older outboard motor engines, small equipment engines, lawn mowers, weed eaters, and things of that nature. They do make additives that you can put into the ethanol gasoline that'll try to preserve those gaskets and those seals a little longer. But there are studies out there saying that on those older machines that you have gasket dry out, because the ethanol will absorb any water or will produce water, pull the water out of objects. So they'll dry rot if they sit up, for a long period of time with the ethanol gasoline in it. So they do make additives that kind of preserve those gaskets and those O-rings as well. Okay. I just wanted to bring that information out to you. So whatever the pleasure of this body, whether we support that resolution, I don't know if all of you have received a copy of it, so you can get it and peruse it, and if you think we should go forward with supporting it, let us know and we'll put it on our next agenda. Okay, President's report. I had the opportunity of presenting a resolution from the parish at Judge Randy Collins' funeral on Saturday. He was a friend as well as a constituent, and we all know that he was the brother of one of our former commissioners, Mr. Clifford Collins. So we paid our respects there, and I also visited with the family and asked them if there was anything that we could do personally or as a body to don't fail to let us know. Mr. Johnson, I've been receiving a number of concerns in developed neighborhoods about properties that may have been foreclosed on or may be for sale, and the owners have moved out of them and it's not being maintained. And I was wondering if you would get with the legal department and see if there may be anything that we can do to maybe tweak our property standards. Maybe the possibility of whatever realtor owns that property, that they will be required to come out and cut it. I went out to some very nice homes and some properties that was for sale. Just made the entire neighborhood look bad because the realtors had for sale signs, but nobody maintained them. So would you explore that and see if that's something that we can do? Also, Mr. Wilson and Todd, we are responsible. We will be heading up the three governmental consortium of the commission, the school board, and the city council on the 26th of August at 11:30 a.m. in the skybox at Independence Stadium. Also, prior to the 11:30 meeting, I would like for the commissioners, the city council, and the school board, we're going to hold a press conference. There's an initiative that Comcast Cable is going to make to have available at a very minimal cost of high-speed internet as well as laptop computers to all Title I kids that will be qualified in Caddo Parish schools. So we'd like to interview, would like to attend that prior to the meeting. Also, if there's anything that you would like to add on the agenda for that particular meeting, please get with Todd so we can start formulating the agenda at that particular time. Also, if you would, Mr. Wilson, Ms. Bryant, if I might get a copy of detailed amounts and where those amounts was expended from the oil and gas revenue fund for the last 2 years since we've had it in inception, please, if you could get that to me. And also, Mr. Wilson, if I may get for the last 2 years, any participation of DBEs with the Caddo Advantage program that Caddo has, the name of that entity, what amounts that they acquired and what resources. That's all I have on the President's report. Next order, please, Mr. Clerk.
We have no old business, we move to new business. We have zoning case P7-11 in regard to ordinance number 5113. Request to rezone 5 acres, lot 184, suburban acres, 4th filing, Caddo Parish, from RMP8 MHP Residence Mobile Home Park to I-1 Light Industrial District.
Move to Thursday.
Moved by Commissioner Escudé. Second by Commissioner Baker, that we advance zoning case P7-11 for Thursday's agenda. Let's vote, please. Okay. Next order.
Ordinance number 5112 of 2011, amending ordinance number 2998 of 1993, dedicating 100% of the income generated from the parish share of video poker gaming receipts to the Economic Development Fund.
Move to Thursday.
Moved by Commissioner Lynch, seconded by Commissioner Escudé. Any discussion? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we'll vote to advance ordinance number 5112 of 2011 to Thursday's agenda. Okay, that advances. Next, please.
Ordinance number 5114 of 2009, to accept the streets in North Point Place, Unit 2, into the parish of Caddo system.
Second. Entertain a motion moved by Mr. Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Dominique, that we will move ordinance number 5114 of 2011. We have under discussion Mr. Thibodeau.
Well, Globo 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 to Thursday. Second.
Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Everything but 8.
9, 10, and 11. To Thursday. Okay,
Dominic says.
yes, Dominique seconded the motion, Mr. Thibodeau, to englobo the pre-mentioned items on the agenda to Thursdays. Any discussion? All right, we'll vote. Those items advance to Thursday. Now we'll go back to item 8, Mr. Clerk.
Ordinance number 5118 of 2011, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development Fund and the Oil and Gas Fund to provide $45,000 for the 2012 Bassmaster Classic.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Escudé. Seconded by who? Commissioner Bowman. Any discussion? We have Mr. Thibodeau.
Yeah, I just wanted to find out what the situation is with the Bassmasters at this point, that we can say publicly.
You hungry?
Okay, not getting into the legal things, it's our belief, both cities, both mayors, that Bassmaster will come here. Our new sports commission will be the one who will end up ultimately with a contract, and it's moving forward. This is been done by all the bodies. This is our put up or shut up. This is a show of faith. If it doesn't come here, the money's not spent. It's the same thing we did the last Bassmasters, and the other governing bodies are doing the same thing.
That answers my question.
Okay, no other requests or comments. We have moved to advance to Thursday. That item advances to Thursday. Next order, please.
We have the consent agenda.
Okay. Entertain a motion. Let's see, we got, you got 35.
I moved at 12 to 13, then he moved to Thursday.
Moved by Commissioner Dominique, seconded by Commissioner Smith. That
We did that.
You didn't go.
you did. We stopped at 11.
I said yeah, 13.
Well, I didn't hear you, but let's make it official. Okay, we move those 11 and 12 to Thursday's agenda.
12 and 13.
12 and 13. Okay, those resolutions moved to Thursday. Entertain a motion adjourned.
Move to adjourn.